Now's the time to get creative. Everybody, welcome to another episode of Coffee with Coach. I raise my emotional support coffee to you today, and I tell you, now's the time to get creative. What am I talking about? I'm really glad you asked that question. Talking about the fact that you're in a attention deficit society right now. It is harder and harder to clear through the clutter with your message, be heard, be heard and seen, much less remembered. Okay? And here's what I mean. Traditional advertising, that whole model is broken. People fast forward through commercials on TV. We've gotten really good at ignoring any kind of ad in print media. Same could be said for billboards for the most part. Plus, they're electronic now on the side of the highway, and they're constantly turning over and changing, and it's just become visual clutter, visual spam, so to speak. So what do you have to do? You have to find unique ways to reach new audiences, because those traditional ways are no more. People don't go on Facebook to click on ads. They scroll right through the ads, and they're there to be entertained, to see what their friends are up to argue about politics, all that fun stuff. And the same would be said for Instagram, most other social media platforms, YouTube as well. And what's also gumming up the system, so to speak, are political ads, because at the time of this filming, guess what? It's August of 2020. It's an election year. So, like up here in Maine, I'm seeing attack ads from both sides of the aisle in a state Senate race. On every pre-roll, it's called a pre-roll ad, before the content rolls on the video you thought you were going to, you get to see a political ad. I mean, the amount of money being dumped into YouTube video commercials, politically speaking, is appalling. So we've just gotten really good at filtering out what we aren't looking for. So how do you reach a new audience? I would argue it's through collaboration. I'm trying to book this person on my podcast that I'm about to tell you about, because I think she's a genius. We're trying to find a way to schedule that and do it in a socially distanced manner. But I really did want to have her as a guest in my studio in person, because I think it's important, and so much is lost purely on video, on Zoom. But her name's Kristen Hobbs, and she runs a business called Breathe With Me Yoga Studio, or yoga. I use the term studio very, very loosely, because her studio typically is the beach and different craft breweries throughout southern Maine. That sounds weird, Coach Brew. What are you talking about? She doesn't have a yoga studio, a traditional yoga studio. She has yoga on the beach, which is perfect for this time of year. And probably even more therapeutic. Fresh air, salt water, sand, sun. It's ideal. And when she's not doing those yoga sessions on the beach, she's also hosting events, co-hosting events at a variety of different breweries in southern Maine. It's a beer and yoga combo. Beer and yoga I would probably call broga, but then that's just not a good word, because people wouldn't understand what you're talking about. So let's scrap that. That's a bad idea. Don't call it broga, beer yoga, whatever. You get the point. You go there to the craft brewery. On the patio, you lay out your yoga mat. She guides you through a yoga session, and then afterwards, inclusive with your fee for that day's yoga, that morning's yoga, or afternoon's yoga, whenever it is, you get your first round on the house. You have a beer, you socialize, you enjoy yourself. It's casual, it's fun, and really it's good medicine, so to speak. I don't mean the beer, I mean the yoga. The beer's good medicine in other ways probably too, but so you get my point. Now, what are the benefits for her in doing this, and what are the benefits for the craft brewer? I'm glad you asked that as well. Well, they get to borrow each other's audiences because they're both marketing this. So they're going to be people that she will reach about her event who are interested in yoga, who might not be familiar with that particular craft brewery that she is sort of a guest expert and hosts this event at. So it's exposure to a new audience for the brewery. Flip that upside down and look at the brewery marketing it. People who are familiar with that beer company may not be familiar with Kristen's yoga business. And now she's found potentially new audience members, a new market. And it's a collaboration. Is it for everybody? No. Is it for some? Yes. And I would venture to say that that's how you build a cult following, so to speak. Not literally a cult. You know what I mean. You build that sort of those raving fans by bringing something new to the market, collaborating with others, and having the ability to borrow each other's audiences. And at this time, that's needed more than ever because, really, that's how you have to market, in my opinion. You need to have the ability to borrow other people's audiences. Because the traditional means of marketing and advertising, if they aren't dead, they're certainly on life support. They got one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel, so to speak. And I'm starting to think that includes email marketing too. When you look at the open rates and how Google's algorithm blocks mass emails, your effectiveness in advertising and marketing across a lot of different mediums is becoming more and more limited. And frankly, it's hard to grow an audience. You know, unless you're a Kardashian, it's hard to grow an audience. Probably the best way to grow your audience is to create that synergy, that collaboration with another brand, a different company. You get to borrow each other's audiences, and then you get to build each other's audiences for and with one another in a pretty unique, novel way that other people just typically don't think to do. How are you going to get creative with your offering is my question. Will you collaborate within your industry or outside it? That's kind of my critical thinking question for you today. One of the things I love to do is collaborate with other authors. I believe a rising tide raises all ships, and I'm not competing against other authors. We're all together competing against basically other forms of entertainment, other forms of education. And we believe, at least the authors I collaborate with, we believe that a rising tide raises all ships and that we're stronger together. And if you have a good experience with my books, I want you to have a good experience with their books, and vice versa. So I think perhaps maybe your perspective could and should shift a little bit, that you're not necessarily competing in your space, in your industry. Rather, you're stronger together, competing against other outside forces in an age of great digital distraction. If you're going to collaborate outside your industry, where can you create synergy? You know, one thing I'm going to propose to Kristen is coffee yoga. You do beer yoga in the evenings, perhaps in the afternoons, happy hour type thing. You can have people start their day with yoga and a cup of coffee at a coffee shop that has a nice outdoor patio, and has their own sort of cult or niche following of raving fans. And personally, I like that concept because coffee and beer, I fashioned them two of my life coaches. So much so that I have this Coffee with Coach YouTube playlist, and I also have Beer with Brew if you haven't checked that out. So find a niche audience outside your industry that you can create synergy with. For her, it could be beer and yoga, coffee and yoga. It could be a lot of things in yoga. If you are a retail store, think about hosting an event with another organization, whether it's a nonprofit and a percentage of the sales go to that organization that day, or it's simply you cater food in and you get exposure for that restaurant within your facility. Or perhaps you do a pop-up shop and you literally take your show on the road to another business. I don't want to get stuck in the weeds giving you specifics when that's really incumbent upon you. I could throw out some ideas, but everyone's business is unique. The fundamentals are the fundamentals. Collaboration is collaboration. However, that being said, your audience, and potentially who would be a great, use the term synergy partner for you with your audience. So I don't want to create any kind of preconceived notions in your head. I am at a traffic stop sign, and there are people who have the right of way who are not taking the right of way. They're just stopping and looking at me like I should go, when that's, Anyway, see what I mean, like about digital distraction? So, make a list, a hit list if you will, say 10, 20 different types of businesses, some within your industry, others outside, and kind of cull those to find the best in class. Reach out to a couple of those business owners, engage their interest level. Not everyone's going to be interested in doing this, I can tell you that right now, because the only way they do things is the way everyone else in their industry does things. Most industries, are copycat companies. They're made up of copycat companies. Everyone markets just like everyone else. And then they wonder why they get really average, really mediocre results, because they're all doing the same thing. And again, it kind of equates back to those ads. It's a lot of clutter. Everyone doing the same thing, bombarding Facebook with these stupid ads, political ads, infesting YouTube and social media and radio. Everyone's doing the same thing. You want to stand out and be remembered, you've got to do something different. Be different or be invisible. Most people don't want to go there. Most people don't want to think differently, because that would involve putting themselves out there and, oh no, how will people judge me? Or what if this doesn't work? Well, you know what, buddy? What you're already doing really doesn't work. At least not well, because you're doing the same thing everybody else is. So really, you have nothing to lose by trying this. Think of it as an experiment. You're not creating this whole big paradigm shift. You're just experimenting with something to see if you can get a better result. And if you get a better result, feed it a little more. Do a little more of it. Feed what works in your business. And I would venture to say what works better than anything else is being different. standing out in a sea of sameness. You know, there are a lot of yoga studios. How many of them come to you? How many of them go somewhere cool like a craft brewery or a coffee shop or something like that, or the beach? Not many. They all do the same thing. They stuff you in a room with a bunch of mats, mirrors on the walls, same background music. It's all the same thing, man. Be different or be invisible. You can borrow a page out of that playbook. Just get creative. Make your list. Reach out to people. Find the best partners. Treat it like an experiment. See how it goes. But don't give up after the first time. Too many people aren't willing to see things through and assess, adjust, and then reassess. You know, they jump ship if something isn't working right away because they think, you know, there's got to be a magic bullet. You know, there's got to be a shortcut. You know, there's got to be a shortcut to becoming a best-selling author. No, actually there isn't. You wrote a shitty book. You need to write a better book. You did a bad job marketing. You need to do a better job marketing. So there really are no shortcuts, and you can't give up at the first sign of failure. And this is a proven strategy that works. And not just for yoga and beer. There are countless other examples I don't have time to go into right now. I just thought this is a great shining example of somebody who is operating on a minimal budget, getting maximal results, and building a fan base and a community around her work. So I want to shine a spotlight on that. Check out Breathe With Me Yoga in Maine, and I will see you on the next episode of Coffee with Coach. In the meanwhile, like the video, click the little thumbs up button, subscribe, and click the little bell so you get notifications when there's a new video that drops. There are several series like this on my YouTube channel, Coach BrewTube. You know, there's Brew with Brew, Coffee with Coach. I do another on the road video called Windshield Wisdom, which may be how you found me. And there's certainly plenty more there, as there is on my website, coachbrew.com. Head on over there, sign up for my email newsletter, and you'll get a very special gift. It's a $99 value. I'm actually not going to tell you what it is. Just go there, check it out, be pleasantly surprised. Again, it's coachbrew.com. I'm signing off until the next episode of Coffee with Coach. Again, I raise my emotional support coffee to you on this day. Make it a great one. Thanks.